What's good, Mass Gang? Before we dive into the most recent edition of Friday Night SmackDown, I do want to give you a warning that there is a chance this video gets copyrighted because of some of the images I'm using. They are from this week's SmackDown, so we all know WWE doesn't like that. But let's continue on. Let's open it up with CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Now, on Monday, I said that if Drew McIntyre doesn't show up to CM Punk's hometown of Chicago and absolutely destroy CM Punk, that he's not doing it right. But that is exactly what happened. CM Punk did get to open the night. He did get to play to the Chicago crowd. He did get to call Drew McIntyre a quitter. He did get to do all those things. But boy, oh boy, a little bit later in the night, we seen Drew McIntyre with a down, beaten CM Punk. Drew McIntyre threw CM Punk over his shoulders like a sack of potatoes, carried him on to the stage, and then dumped him like said sack of potatoes. CM Punk was beaten. CM Punk was bloody. I didn't know where the blood was coming from CM Punk. He had blood everywhere. Nick Aldis came to the ring. He tried to ask Drew what the hell he was doing. Drew McIntyre gave him a push. Nick Aldis, man, I'm telling y'all, man, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Nick Aldis is going to get back in that ring because when Drew McIntyre pushed Nick Aldis got right up in his grill like he was ready to go. So I do expect to see Nick Aldis getting some type of feud at some point. But anyway, the paramedics came out. They put CM Punk on the stretcher. CM Punk had on a neck brace. CM Punk got put in the ambulance. Look, y'all, I said this on Monday. We don't need to see CM Punk again until SummerSlam. We don't need to see him in Money in the Bank. In fact, they need to start talking about on the broadcast team how there's a chance that CM Punk never wrestles again. They need to really play this up like CM Punk got beat within an inch of his life. That's exactly what they need to do. And then he needs to come out in SummerSlam, not 100%. And, you know, at that point, you can either have Drew win because CM Punk isn't 100%, or you can have CM Punk overcome adversity and win despite his injuries. But either way the case is, we know Drew's going to show up on Monday. Drew's going to say how CM Punk and the fans and even, you know, the WWE higher-ups are idiots for thinking that he was ever going to retire or quit or whatever. He's going to come out Monday. He's going to talk his shit. He's going to talk his shit. He's going to come out. He's going to talk about how he beat the hell out of CM Punk in his hometown and how people thought he was going to quit and that he's never going to quit. And that's how they need to go about it. If they want to do something like, oh, we suspended Drew McIntyre, I mean, I guess you could do that, suspend him into SummerSlam, whatever. I don't think they will do that. But either way, WWE played this 100% correctly by having Drew McIntyre destroy CM Punk. Next, we had a Money in the Bank women's qualifier match between Bianca Belair, Michin, and Chelsea Green. Before I get into anything, I want to give kudos to Michin. She's been on NXT. She's been on WWE. And she never wins, but she always puts on a good match. And this was no different. Michin was out there doing the damn thing. Bianca Belair, she came, and honestly, I'm really kind of surprised that Bianca Belair was the one to win this match. I feel like this is the start to a greater storyline, and maybe it's even Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. We'll see. We'll see. We know they have a tag rematch they're going to get, and when they lose that match, and that's what I'm predicting, that they're going to lose that match. When they lose that match, I think we might see some fractures between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. But anyway, the winner of this match was actually Chelsea Green. It was actually Chelsea Green. And she won by capitalizing on Bianca Belair hitting Michin with the KOD. Honestly, despite me being surprised, I was also pleased. So I was pleasantly surprised that Chelsea Green won this match, and this was an ongoing theme for SmackDown. I think it's a good idea to put as many competitors in a Money in the Bank match who, one, haven't won before, and two, who could actually have their careers be elevated by winning. So WWE, good job on actually having Chelsea Green win this qualifier match. Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, Tama Tonga. You had to go into this match knowing that the feud between the Bloodline, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes for that matter, you had to know that that was going to take hold in this match. And that's exactly what happened. This match, it wasn't, honestly, from my perspective, this match wasn't anything special. The feud between the Bloodline and Randy Orton and all those guys, that was going to pretty much be the main storyline within this match. And of course, Carmelo Hayes was able to take advantage of it. I'm so happy that Carmelo Hayes qualified for the Money in the Bank match, just for the simple fact that I personally think that Carmelo has had a rough go on the main roster since he's been called up. I'm not going to harp too much on, the mistakes he's made while cutting his promos. His in-ring work is always solid. But what I've noticed the most, and that's actually going to be the same thing for another guy who's in another match that was on SmackDown, the crowd just doesn't seem to have a reaction to Carmelo. And I'm talking about, they don't have a good reaction. They don't have a bad reaction. They just have no reaction at all. And that's not good, man. They need to get Carmelo involved in something. I think if WWE decides to go this route, I think that Carmelo Hayes would be one of the biggest benefactors if he won the Money in the Bank briefcase. He could essentially skyrocket his career on the main roster if they want to go that route. I don't know if they will. I certainly hope so, because I like Carmelo. But right now, he's getting no reaction from the crowd. This is a good win. The crowd didn't seem to care that he won. So, I mean, WWE has to do something if they want Carmelo to succeed, and this is the first step. After a brief skirmish between LA Knight and Logan Paul, we had the second qualifier match for the men's Money in the Bank. And this was between Kevin Owens, Andrade, and Grayson Waller. The Bloodline did a number on Kevin Owens before this thing even started, before he had to be saved by Randy Orton. And it was a continuation of what I said for the last qualifier match. The feud between the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes' Team RKO, it basically overshadowed this entire match. And I don't mean overshadow as in the match wasn't interesting and things like that, but that was basically the storyline that played out in this match, is what's going on between those two groups. And just like in the previous qualifier match with Carmelo Hayes, Andrade was able to capitalize on this thing between the Bloodline, Team KO and Team RKO. And I think that it's a good thing. Andrade, let's go right into Andrade. Grayson Waller, he's one half of the tag team champion, so he's doing well. But let's talk about Andrade for a second. Like Carmelo Hayes, Andrade came to the main roster via the Royal Rumble. He didn't get called up. It was the Royal Rumble re-debut. And since he's been back, he's had no crowd reaction. No cheers, no boos, no nothing. Just like Carmelo Hayes. He won this match, and it was kind of just like, man, whatever. I mean, okay, Andrade, is he still the Speed champion? I'm sorry, guys. I don't watch WWE Speed. I'm sorry. Tell me in the comments below if Andrade is still the champion on Speed. I personally don't care, but that's besides the point. No matter what they're doing with him on Speed, it's still not getting him a reaction from the crowd. So just like Carmelo, it's a good thing that WWE made the decision to allow Andrade to be a part of the men's Money in the Bank match. Because if he does manage, which I don't think is likely, but if he does manage to win the briefcase it'll be a chance to get some of the crowd to at least have some type of reaction to them. And with that said, man, I hope Andrade is able to turn it around because he's a hell of a performer, and honestly, he's failing so far. I mean, I can't think of anything else to say about it because that's just, it's plain as day. He's not doing well right now. Okay, main event time. Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa. And I'm going to tell you right off the rip, Cody Rhodes in a match against Solo Sikoa isn't even the main thing of this match. All I know is that before what eventually happened, it felt like Cody Rhodes was beating the hell out of Solo Sikoa. But of course you knew what was going to happen. You knew that eventually you were going to have interference from the bloodline of this match. Luckily, Cody Rhodes was able to get some assistance for Team RKO, but that wasn't what was important in this segment, in this match. Up until the point where Team RKO came to save Cody. Cody and Team RKO had the bloodline dead to rights. It was about to be an embarrassing night for the bloodline. Then all of a sudden, Jacob Fatu comes into the ring. He absolutely destroys Cody and Team RKO pretty much single-handedly. Solo was in the corner begging for his life. He was begging for his life. When he seen Jacob Fatu, he started smiling because he already knew what time it was. Let me tell you something. You guys have heard me say throughout this video, Carmelo Hayes, no crowd reaction. Andrade, no crowd reaction. Both of those guys have been in WWE for years. When I tell you that when Jacob Fatu hit that ring, he got a reaction from the crowd, and it was crazy because I knew the majority of that crowd didn't even know who Jacob Fatu was. It was the intensity, the savagery, the look, the presence. Everything screamed star when Jacob Fatu hit that ring. He already comes off as the most legitimate threat in the bloodline. He seems more threatening than Solo, just based on the fact that Solo was begging for his life before he showed up. He seemed more threatening than Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, just on the fact that when they stood in the ring and put their wands in the air, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa almost looked a little bit fearful to be standing next to Jacob Fatu. That was the level of savagery, the level of threat that Jacob Fatu generated when he stepped into the ring. His aura dominated everybody in the bloodline. And I was concerned about this, and I think this is probably why they waited so long to pull the trigger on having Jacob Fatu be a part of this thing. It's because Jacob Fatu is going to outshine every member of the bloodline, including Solo. That's it. Jacob, like, okay, I can imagine, as threatening as they have Solo come off as, it's hard for me to imagine Solo barking orders to Jacob Fatu. Now, granted, I feel like Solo hasn't barked orders to Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa either. I feel like with him, it's less of like the thing with Roman where I'm your boss. It's more like we all savages. We all about to go and get it. So Jacob Fatu, man, he's gonna be a star, dude. Like, Jacob Fatu reminds me of Umaga. And I'm not just saying that because they're related and everything. I'm saying that because the presence is the same. And the presentation is the same. Like, that's who I felt like I was watching. I felt like I was watching early 2000s or whatever, Umaga just destroy everybody. So, I mean, he came in He put Randy Orton through a barricade, beat the shit out of Cody. Kevin Owens, I don't even know what he did to him, but Kevin Owens was done. Kevin Owens was washed. Like, it's going to be exciting, man. And if they bring in Hikuleo, which they kind of don't need Hikuleo, but I think they're probably going to go with 5 members of this iteration of the Bloodline, because at some point, I imagine that they're going to do some type, I don't know if it's going to be Survivor Series or whatever. This whole thing is going to pop off, and I want to see how they're going to do it. We know there's going to be Roman, and it's going to be the Usos, but who the hell else are they going to get to join them? I mean, is Sami Zayn going to agree to help the Bloodline? I don't know. They're going to need help, though, man, because I'm telling you right now, as great, as massive of a star as Roman Reigns is, him and the Usos not about to be enough to take down Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, and potentially Hikuleo. It's not going to be enough. So things are just getting hot. WWE's hot right now, and I'm just excited to see what's going to happen. So I'll catch you guys for Monday Night Raw. Crimson Mask, Mask Gang, we out.